Hi, I'm feeling really drawn today to do a reading for someone in the collective. So if you've tuned into this message, then maybe this one's for you. The energies at the moment are so strong, and I know some of us are struggling with sleeping, with thinking clearly, and with making decisions. So let's jump into the reading and see what's coming up for you. Okay, let's go. Welcome to the Light Alignment. We're doing a reading today and we're going to start with tarot. I really like the Greer deck. I've had it my whole life maybe, since I was a teenager. So they're pretty ratty and very, very loved. But I just love the colours and the messages. So let's see what the cards have for us today. We'll give it a good shuffle. Oh, that one jumped. I probably should take that one, I guess. All right, what else have we got? So we're looking for a reading. What's happening in the collective? Why was I drawn in particular to do this reading for you today? Let's find out. Okay. A lot of readers will pull a card and then hold them up. Sometimes I do. To be honest though, I find it better when I can see the whole big picture. So I like to lay out the spread and then, like I said, read it like a story. Read the big picture of it. The different elements are important, but it's how they all come together and work in your own life, I think, that really is where the messages are. Plus, we don't want to preempt the message either by judging it by the first couple of cards. So let's see if this works. Well, they're sticking a bit today. Okay, what have we got? Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 2 more. I like the 10 card spread. It gives us a good overview. 1, and that one jumps. So that's 2. Okay. And I might just throw a couple of fortune cards in there as well. These sometimes help really narrow it down or let us know what direction the cards are heading. So let's see. So I might get 4 of these, I think. 4. 1, 2, oh, that's 3. 1, 2, 3. All right, and one last one to go with this reading today. 4. Okay, that's 4. All right, let's see what we've got. All right. Now, this is the one that jumped out first, so that's a big one. That's death. That means change. It means major change, and it's usually something that's fated or meant to be, so it's not really optional. Death and change. Ooh. This is crossed with the 10 of Swords. This one looks horrible, and it kind of feels a bit horrible, but it's also liberation, because this card really means that you've gone as far as you can in a situation. It's like when you're in a bad relationship and you know it's not good for you and you know it's not working, but you kind of keep going. You're like, you know, what if I try this? What if I do this? What if I say this? What if I try harder? What if I dress this way or do these things? But the reality is that you can try and try and try and try and try, and then you come to a point where you kind of have to accept that it's over and to let it go. And so with death, that's definitely a big shift for you. Definitely a big change. All right. Right, so next we have the King of Pentacles. So we're going to pop him up the top. So the thing that is in front of you is the King of Pentacles. This could be a person who is good in the world, you know, like he's good in the material world. He goes out and is good at making money. He's good in business. He's a strong, solid character, that one, usually. Beneath you is the 5 of Cups. Now that often means loss. So that's kind of feeling a little bit down over what you've lost. If you have a look at the cards, there's 2 remaining and 3 have been spilt. So it's kind of a little bit of a sad reflection moment, I would take it as. But don't get stuck in that, because if you look up, you see if he looks up, the castle, what he actually really wants, the next place he's going to is actually in front of him. So don't get stuck in that too long. That's beneath you, so that's in your gut. So that's just that feeling of like, yeah, of not regret, of just feeling like sad that that time has now ended of reflection. All right, the next thing that is around you is the Emperor. So the Emperor is dealing with authority usually. So it's dealing with the boss. It's dealing with, you know, it could be a bank. It could be, or just someone in your life that sort of has authority, if that makes sense. So I'm not quite sure how that sits in this situation, because it's actually what's leaving. So this literally could be that you've left a situation and you've left that person behind. The next thing coming in is the Three of Wands. Now this card is very much about taking one step at a time and like setting new goals, but not trying to go from A to Z in one jump. So it's about being realistic about, right, this is what I want to achieve, and breaking it down into steps and then taking one step at a time, making realistic goals to move forward, instead of, you know, I'm going to go from zero to hero, which sounds great, but isn't actually all that easy to achieve. Interesting, we've got on this big change, so this main situation we started with, this card sits on that, and it's the Page. So to me, pages are messengers. They always bring news, and the Page of Rods is good news, actually. It's creative good news. It could sometimes mean that if there's issues in the family, that they're actually going to be resolved, that you're going to move past them. But it's good news. That's what I would definitely take from that. It's momentum. Oh, this is interesting. So in your environment, so your outside influences, so not coming from your own brain, but actually what the universe is conspiring to create around you, you've got the Ace of Rods. Now, aces are always doorways, and rods are that creative passion, spiritual energy, the movement energy. So the Ace of Rods to me is like a new opportunity. It can be a spiritual awakening as well. It's yeah, a new project, something new that is linked to, like I said, creativity, passion, spirituality, all that kind of energy. So that's around you. This door is opening. Wow, this is a big reading, because the next one I've got is the Tower. Now that's in the hopes or fears spot. Now the Tower is like death in that it means major change, but the difference between death and the Tower is the death can be like quite sudden, and it's just a direct ending, that's it. Whereas the Tower is kind of your castle, like your castle, your life that you've created brick by brick, the sense of the world. And when the Tower falls, what's actually happening is your sense of almost reality shifts. It's like without that Tower, you're not quite sure who you are. So sometimes you hang on. Sometimes you hang on for dear life, even though the walls are crumbling around you. So the trick with this card is that you need to just sort of go with it. You need to go with the flow. The change is happening. It's happening for a reason. It's usually positive. What you've got to do is let it go, because if you hang on and you try to slow it down or stop it or whatever else, what you're actually going to do is just cause yourself grief, to be honest. It's not going to stop the change. It's just going to make it harder for you. So the best thing to do is stand back and say, okay, I trust and I believe that this is for my highest good and that only good things are coming, and to try as much as you can to just let the process unfold. Okay, It's hard, I know, especially if it's when it's a really big change, and it might be something that you didn't expect also. So that's, you know, when it comes from left field, yeah, that can be a bit of a shock to the system. But even when you do want the change and you've been working towards the change, when it actually presents, you can still feel a little bit like, ooh, have I done the right thing? Am I moving in the right direction? So again, my advice is the same. Either way, don't hang on. Just try and let it go, and try and trust, and try and be excited about the future and about the opportunities to come, and not hanging on to the past so hard that you actually don't see what's in front of you. Okay, and then the outcome is strength. Now, strength is, you know, it's courage. It's a beautiful card. It's a major arcana card as well, so it has a lot of energy behind it. And it's basically saying that you will have the strength to get through this. You'll have the courage to move forward, and you've got to believe in that. You've got to believe in yourself. So you can also call on the lion to walk beside you and lend you his courage as well. There's lots of options for that one, but just know that you'll be okay, and just know that you do have the strength. You will get through this, good or bad. You're going to make it to the other side, because the universe doesn't give us more than we can handle, believe it or not. Now, I want to just have a quick look at these fortune cards in this reading. The first one we have is the ring, and the ring usually means commitment. So the fact that that's first or past, I would take as something, this is the situation that has just changed, okay? So a commitment, a job, a relationship, a project, something that you've made a commitment, an agreement to do, that has been important in your life, is now ending. Now, you've got the scythe, and that's really interesting because that sits with these, and you can see how it makes perfect sense. When you plant the crops, you let them grow, and then when it's time, you cut them down, you harvest, okay? So this, in the same way, is saying that it's time to cut away the harvest, and also cut away the old as well, because you are now moving into a new opportunity, a new doorway, a new phase, a new road, a new path. So to do that, the old one gets cut away. And that's quite quick usually too. It's not, you know, like bit by bit. When the scythe comes along, it cuts it. This could also be, you know, with the relationships when they just end and stop. So it's that ending that the scythe is talking about. Okay, so the next thing to come in is the flower, or the lily. Is it a lily? I'm not sure. But in these cards, this card actually means business. So the next thing that's coming with these new doorways is a business opportunity, a new business, a new project, something in the world that you're doing in the material world, I would take that as. And it's also a new project that's maybe flowering. That's something that you've created. So now that you've cut away the new seed has room to grow. So yeah, that's a doorway there. That's a good one too. If how you're feeling has something to do with work, or something that you've created that you're kind of like waiting and like loving and growing and putting energy into, well, this is sort of saying that coming in, the next energy coming in is for that to grow and to see the results of it. And then the overall card is this one, and it's the Tower. And it's interesting that you got the Tower twice, because you got the Tower for things changing and the walls sort of crashing down. And the reason they're crashing down, by the way, is so that you can build the new tower, you can build the new life, walk on the new path, that version of you that you've been hanging on to, that maybe is holding you back. You don't need that anymore. It's time for the next, okay? And it's going to be better and bigger and better. So that's the Tower of Change that we're going with the flow with. And this tower very much means fate. It means destiny. So what I would take that over the overall reading is that the big changes that you're going through right now are meant to be. The energy is meant to shift. You can't stay in the same place forever. You can't stay in the same energy forever, because then you don't grow. So what happens is, once you've completed that phase, once you've completed that project, once you've completed that path, then change comes in and we step onto the new. We step through the new doorway. And this is saying that that new doorway is meant to be. It's aligning you with the life that you want to have, that is for your highest purpose, I think is the best way to say it. So that's the Tower. So I think maybe we'll leave it at that, because that makes a lot of sense to me at the moment. So you've got the shift from a commitment that you've made, something that you thought was like good to go. Then we're moving into a big change, a new doorway, and then the overall card is the Tower, which is fate. So I hope that really helps you. And yeah, let me know in the comments if you've been going through this big change, if you know what it is, if it's already happened, and if you can see how these new doorways are opening for you. Thanks for joining us on the Light Alignment.